Welcome, everyone. Let's talk about the pathetic failure of many different radionic type machines and the difficulties, and of course, why radionics doesn't have much credibility in most areas. I've used radionics as well as other combined systems and special sigils and special radionic plates with great success. We've never really got into the bioentity work in terms of working on people and their energetic fields that surround them in general. We've been working with metaphysics, drawing money, and doing other things, and I've been highly successful at all of that and done quite well using a hybrid system. The problem is with your radionic people out there that are typical in many radionic areas is they're very closed-minded and very ignorant. One of the problems with radionic practitioners in general, and that goes for everybody who has been a radionic practitioner, inventors, etc., from Wilhelm Reich, who with his orgone, which really aren't radionic machines, but is there's very questions. These people have been persecuted, and was Wilhelm Reich murdered or not? He was an old man. He wasn't, well, not that old. He wasn't very fit. And of course, after being persecuted and put in prison, soon before his release, he died of a heart attack. Now, was he murdered or not? Well, it's easy to say he was. It's also easy to say that orgone doesn't work, and he wasn't really all that healthy. He didn't look all that healthy, and from my psychic scans of him at the time of his death, he did have heart problems. So, and it doesn't mean that using orgone chambers, there's no proof that any of this stuff works, and of course, that's the whole idea to it. When we get into radionic practitioners, there's only one radionic practitioner, inventor, machine builder that has lived of any ripe old age. And that was Hieronymus, who I believe lived to be 92 or up to 90. So that, I don't know what that means. Does that mean that a lot of people live to their late 80s and near 90 and have been doing it for a good 100 years? Benjamin Franklin, 86, Daniel Boone, 87. I mean, the whole idea, it's not like people didn't live long and haven't. One of the reasons people died of earlier ages pre-1940 was from infections. So if you got a really bad infection, since they didn't have any kind of antibiotics, you had a good chance of dying. So when antibiotics came in, particularly penicillin in the late 40s, the death rates from almost everything dramatically dropped. We've then been poisoned with bad diets and everything else, telling us to eat a bunch of carbs and all the stuff that don't make much sense. The same diet that farmers are given to fatten up their cattle. All of that stuff is a travesty of ignorance and buffoonery done by particularly ill-informed governmental people. But the problem is that all these alternative practitioners, Ruth Drown, of course, lived into her, was harassed, was thrown in prison for a very short period of time, I believe, and with lots of so-called evidence. I don't know what to believe there. I believe that Ruth Drown was a fascinating, genius person. Like all these people that I meet, I don't know how great their success rate is. It's like the success rates of anything I look into. Now with the Parcell system, well, we just don't know, because ultimately these systems do help people. But the Parcell systems ultimately fails. They do not get rid of all the parasites, the viruses, because they don't know how to do it. Plain and simple. So they're always waiting down in the deep, dark bowels of hell, ready to rise up again. And the practitioners of the Parcell system are very ignorant and don't know what they're doing. So stay away from all those teachers, their high prices, and their ultimate failures. But they're going to do like regular doctors. In the end, you get a big bill. You can attach that to your tombstone. So the whole idea is that we have serious problems here, and so is the case with radionic practitioners. So Ruth Drown only made it into her early 70s. We go through De La Warr. Tansley, the famous writer of radionic books, died in his 50s of cancer. Hulda, how you spell it, Clark, she died in her early 70s of cancer, author of The Cure for All Cancers. De La Warr, Bruce Copen, all these people died in their early to middle 60s. So it's just some even younger than that. So it's pretty pathetic. Why? Well, I think I have some answers to that, but that's for an actual another discussion. I've went through this somewhat. But like with everything, you have to know what you're doing and be careful. I think that radionic practitioners are sloppy. I tend to be a little sloppy myself of dealing with toxic energies and not clearing yourself, to put it in a nutshell. But we have a new case, of course, of the latest crap technology, which has been crap since it's come out, which is the SE5 from Don Paris. Big SE5 enthusiast and even a Psychotronic Association board member, Ludi Larson, and her daughter started an organization many years ago dedicated to radionic research. But it really wasn't radionic research. It was dedicated to using the crap box of garbage, otherwise known as the SE5, which is overpriced, making a very despicable person lots of money, who has been alleged to be connected to Illuminati types and has shown that, and has also taken technology from many other people. But we took apart the SE5 and it's a box of junk. It does absolutely nothing. Now, these are focusing tools, but the fact that it only has one dial and a sharp computer on it, high tech, and a couple of chips in it, and the actual rubbing plate doesn't connect to anything but to the outside of the plastic box, makes the credibility of the SE5 the trash that it is. It has three very poor scalar antennas in there that aren't connected to anything. It's not within the circuit in terms of your circuit board connecting to these scalar antennas. So all of this can be viewed in my disassembly of the box of garbage, that's always been at a high price. And don't ask for how much it costs, because they make up the price on the spot. So these very discreditable people that have made a lot of money and who are allegedly been hooked up to the criminal elements is the same old story with almost everything in life. But Ludi Larson, who has used the SE5 for 30 or 40 years, claiming some sort of success, including apparently doing medical stuff, which is illegal, is a real interesting case. Now, she started this Radionic Association, which doesn't, I should say, her organization, which doesn't talk much about her daughter, who started the organization with her. They are located in Utah, and apparently, for whatever it means, they are Mormons. I don't know if that's good or bad. But the whole idea is that her daughter died of cancer. Died of cancer. So Ludi Larson's daughter, the SE5 expert, died of cancer at a fairly young age. I believe she was in her 50s, but I'm not entirely sure because I can't find too much information on that, other than stating that she started her organization with her daughter. Information on her seems to be missing because it certainly doesn't make the entire organization look too good. Well, this is a serious problem. Delaware, who cured a lot of people, apparently. So did Drown. I mean, there's a lot of history of people, particularly when she left for England. And of course, brought all the American technology to England. That's where England got its big kickstart and why so many things happened in England, including Bruce Copen and other people. All came from Ruth Drown. And there's a lot of people saying that Ruth Drown was a fantastic help to them and cured them of many things. I certainly believe that Ruth Drown was a sincere person, but sincerity does not necessarily mean that what they're doing works. They're very sincere and they come up with all sorts of excuses of why it doesn't work. Ruth Drown was tested by certain universities and failed horribly. Why? Was she told to fail? If you win, we're going to kill you. If you prove this technology, we will destroy you and your family. Well, I tend to think that this is the background information. She did flee to England and apparently did not have problems there because of the reality of the openness there for this technology and the support she got. You got to remember, Americans don't support anybody unless there's bucks in it. Now, you can buy an American off for about 2 cents and a thank you. So we have all these problems, and because of this, the entire industry of almost everything we have, but particularly alternative industries and alternative, quote, technologies, are all have the most scummiest people in it, including free energy, which is a totally controlled by the quote bad guys, the quote, to use a general term because you kind of understand it, the controllers, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call these people, which are all bad terms. But the bottom line is there is big business, big bankers that control everything. And that means money. And they don't want anybody being cured. They want to cure them through their horrible medical systems that they make trillions off of. So these are all the things you run into. So you have other people come up and they're all bought off and they produce boxes of garbage, made up fantasies like the SE5 is credited to some other person. But the original SE5 and this guy we know nothing about who claims invented it. And it was nothing like the piece of crap that we have today. I've seen original quote SE5s, which were completely different than what we have today. Now they're just a box of garbage with a little computer on the outside, which has been like that for years. Now they have other versions. I'm not sure of the newer ones and what crap is in them, but certainly it's nothing more than scalar antennas that you pump numbers into that are considered to be effective by rates done by an uncredible evil person. So the whole idea is we have all these problems there. But what do we have? What is the proof of that there is anything working? And this is going to go into Hieronymus as well. I'm going to talk about Kelly and another and his operation in the next video. But the bottom line is I would think that if your technology was so good and you were so dedicated for all these years to a working technology, but you're stuck in there. People can't admit, like Einstein, that he was wrong and move on. This kind of lack of gnosis and self-centered nonsense is what moves people along into their fantasy worlds. And of course, being a Mormon means you're pretty much in a heavy fantasy. I wonder if she's got her sigil underwear on when she's tuning her box of crap. Because you believe in that kind of crap like you believe in a box of crap. So the whole idea is that this is proof, 100% proof of the ineffectiveness of the SE5 to work on intrinsic data fields that are supposed to balance everything out there. And a lot of people have these devices, including the lying people that produce healing systems and claim they use it, like people using the Parcell system that can't cure anybody and can't do anything. They're using these trash devices. They're also using satanic devices made by Carl Hans Wells and his new organization, thinking that they're healing people. And when they're told that you are doing wrong, they have known it. They support them. They don't support the good guys. Stay away from them. Certainly stay away from the SE5 crap, which I used to give a little bit of a benefit to, but after getting further research over the last few years and actually disassembling one of these pieces of garbage that they want $5 to $7 grand from, or if you're Japanese, $12 to $15,000. So, the price goes wherever old Donnie wants to do it with his basically corrupt New Age garbage attitude with his Illuminati connections to the Germans. So the whole idea is that we have serious problems that are involved with all of this. Is also connections to Tom Brown, the person who worked in the very corrupt Borderland Science organization that he took over with his buddy. The free energy guy, who also is directly connected to Satanists and the Illuminati. There's a dirty trail of corrupt. And the fact that old Donnie here has been able to get wealthy off of the sweat and blood and death of others is pretty pathetic. So the whole idea is also people are using his products illegally and have no business using them for medical purposes that they have been doing. But the bottom line is that it failed. The biggest radionic screamer, flag waver, great researcher, Ludi Larson, basically failed. Her daughter is dead, and dead at a young age, just like Carl Hans Wells is dead, his wife is dead, and many other Orgonite people have died who were using Orgonite. plain and simple, and particularly orgone and all the crap that goes with that. That is also connected to his other buddies out there, Don Croft and other ones who held the satanic flag out in front of people for many years until he died. Or was that karmic justice? He was so messed up by his orgone, so confused and diseased mentally that he got into a serious sports accident with some sort of power glider or whatever the hell it was. He was so confused, so messed up that he didn't know what to do. That's what orgone will do for you in its popular version. So we should be looking at orgone for its cloud busting and cloud attracting capacities because we're in serious need of water. And certainly this should be looked into. But we need to stay away from the toxic crap that it is and the plastic-filled garbage, who you can find thousands of people, the criminal element that is connected to orgone in all of its forms, that goes out there and does this. They're paid people. Don't you understand that? Well, you should. But I always look for proof. And I'm going to show you the proof of what a piece of garbage Kelly's stuff is as well. So the bottom line, here we have proof. If you would have made it work for anybody, even if you didn't want to tell anybody that you basically healed your daughter and she just went on her merry way, that didn't happen. She's got the dirt nap, the box heaven, the 6 feet joy, the travel to mud hell. That's what she's in. That's where she's at. And that's the reality of the SE5. Until next time.